But the steps that led up are gone, look. You can see part of an upstairs room there, by the Jackdaw Tower. You can't get up to it, though, because I've tried. I nearly broke my neck trying to get up. The stones crumble away so. Were there any dungeons? Asked Dick. I don't know, said George. I expect so. But nobody could find them now, everywhere is so overgrown. It was indeed overgrown. Big blackberry bushes grew here and there, and a few gorse bushes forced their way into gaps and corners. The coarse green grass sprang everywhere, and pink thrift grew its cushions in holes and crannies. Well, I think it's a perfectly lovely place, said Anne. Perfectly and absolutely lovely. Do you really? Said George, pleased. I'm so glad. Look. We're right on the other side of the island now, facing the sea. Do you see those rocks, with those queer big birds sitting there? The children looked. They saw some rocks sticking up, with great black shining birds sitting on them in queer positions. They are cormorants, said George. They've caught plenty of fish for their dinner, and they're sitting there digesting it. Hello, they're all flying away. I wonder why. She soon knew, for, from the southwest there suddenly came an ominous rumble. Thunder, said George. That's the storm. It's coming sooner than I thought. Chapter 6 What the Storm Did. The four children stared out to sea. They had all been so interested in exploring the exciting old castle that not one of them had noticed the sudden change in the weather. Another rumble came. It sounded like a big dog growling in the sky. Tim heard it and growled back, sounding like a small roll of thunder himself. My goodness, we're in for it now, said George, half alarmed. We can't get back in time, that's certain. It's blowing up at top speed. Did ever you see such a change in the sky? The sky had been blue when they started. Now it was overcast, and the clouds seemed to hang very low indeed. They scudded along as if someone was chasing them, and the wind howled round in such a mournful way that Anne felt quite frightened. It's beginning to rain, said Julian, feeling an enormous drop spatter on his outstretched hand. We had better shelter, hadn't we, George? We shall get wet through. Yes, we will in a minute, said George. I say, just look at these big waves coming. My word, it really is going to be a storm. Golly, what a flash of lightning. The waves were certainly beginning to run very high indeed. It was queer to see what a change had come over them. They swelled up, turned over as soon as they came to rocks, and then rushed up the beach of the island with a great roar. I think we'd better pull our boat up higher still, said George suddenly. It's going to be a very bad storm indeed. Sometimes these sudden summer storms are worse than a winter one. She and Julian ran to the other side of the island where they had left the boat. It was a good thing they went, for great waves were already racing right up to it. The two children pulled the boat up almost to the top of the low cliff and George tied it to a stout gorse bush growing there. By now the rain was simply pelting down, and George and Julian were soaked. I hope the others have been sensible enough to shelter in that room that has a roof and walls, said George. They were there all right, looking rather cold and scared. It was very dark there, for the only light came through the two slits of windows and the small doorway.